It can seem that the ongoing destruction and damage the maggots continue to do to our country cannot be stopped. The Make America Great Again Trumpers, or maggots as I call them, continue their never-ending march, hell-bent on destroying our constitutional democracy. Their never-ending fire hose of lies and deflection keeps us scrambling to understand and fact-check every word. Their hostile and arrogant refusal to answer questions when called before congressional hearings is actually cringeworthy when you watch them in action. But all is not lost. While we are standing in the blizzard of bullshit the maggots throw at us every day, there are good people working hard to fight the good fight and slap back at the disgusting Trump, MAGA, Project 2025 agendas. My name is Ken. Welcome to Common Sense 2.0 in defense of our democracy. I am an Arizona resident, registered to vote as an independent. And like many of you, I can become discouraged by the never-ending damage being thrust on our country. But when we take the time to look past the daily maggot onslaught of anti-American activity being promoted from the White House, the DOJ, Homeland Security, and the Health and Human Services Agency, we can find bright spots that bring hope, and we can all use a refreshing dose of hope. I want to share with you how my Attorney General, along with other AGs, are helping to lead the counterattack on the maggots' illegal and unconstitutional activities. Arizona Attorney General Kris Mayes is standing up and suing back against a wave of unconstitutional actions by the maggot king President Trump. From fighting to restore billions in frozen federal funding for education, public health, and infrastructure, to defending state sovereignty over elections and AmeriCorps programs. This is a deeply legal showdown with real consequences for all Arizonans and all Americans alike. When the federal government pushes too far, who stops it? Meet Arizona AG Kris Mayes, defending the rule of law and dragging Trump's overreach into the courtroom. Trump's second term is sidestepping constitutional checks. So let's roll through the list of actions Arizona AG Kris Mayes and other states' attorneys general are taking against the Trump MAGA Project 2025 agenda. Attorney General Kris Mayes has 25 lawsuits filed challenging Trump administration actions, particularly around withholding or blocking congressionally authorized funding. These efforts have helped safeguard approximately $1.5 billion in federal funds for Arizona alone. Notable lawsuits include challenges to Trump's national energy emergency with 14 other AGs, unconstitutional executive orders on elections, DEI, birthright citizenship, mail-in ballots alongside 18 other AGs, unlawful mass firings and dismantling of HHS, part of a coalition of 20 AGs, Musk's unconstitutional delegation of power, as part of another 14-state suit. But AG Mayes is not the only hardworking American to fight back against the maggots' onslaught of illegal, unconstitutional, and corrupt agenda. California AG Rob Bonta, a powerhouse in litigation, 37 lawsuits filed in just over 6 months of Trump's term. Among those, he's led or co-led 23, successfully obtained 17 early court rulings, with 13 orders currently blocking unlawful actions. His efforts restored over $168 billion in federal funding and protected critical rights such as birthright citizenship and voting. General Letitia James filed and joined about 15 lawsuits and 22 amicus briefs challenging unconstitutional policies, suing alongside 18 other AGs over Trump's election executive order attempting to seize control of elections, suing alongside 21 other AGs to stop the dismantling of the U.S. Department of Education, filing amicus briefs supporting law firms targeted by Trump's executive orders, a First Amendment challenge, leading a coalition in a lawsuit to protect gender-affirming care from federal threats, and fighting against mass firing of federal workers alongside 19 other AGs. Michigan AG Dana Nessel, part of a 14-state lawsuit challenging the unconstitutional delegation of executive power to Elon Musk. Michigan, along with Arizona, has filed over 25 lawsuits in 6 months to defend against the Trump administration's overreach, preserving $1.6 billion in federal aid. By the way, AG Kris Mayes and AG Dana Nessel have their own podcast now called Pantsuits and Lawsuits. Check it out. A powerhouse perspective on news, justice, and everything in between. Rhode Island AG Peter Neronha reported filing more than a dozen lawsuits since Trump's term began. He is also part of a 23-state coalition that sued over Trump's attempt to freeze $3 trillion in federal funding, helping secure a preliminary injunction. Other coalition states have entered several lawsuits involving broader coalitions across many states. While exact counts per state aren't always specified, these AGs participated in significant actions. Multi-state lawsuits on issues including DEI in education, immigration funding conditions, FEMA, the Affordable Care Act, public benefits, and more. This list includes states like Colorado, Connecticut, Delaware, Hawaii, Illinois, Massachusetts, Minnesota, Nevada, New Jersey, New Mexico, Oregon, Washington, Wisconsin, Vermont, Maryland, Washington, D.C. Speaking of D.C., D.C. AG Brian Schwab filed suit over the unauthorized deployment of National Guard troops in Washington, D.C., arguing violations of the Home Rule Act and Posse Comitatus Act. Of course, we must continue to ask ourselves why. Why do our attorneys general and states have to file all of these suits and legal challenges? Why is our own president doing his best to destroy our country and decades, even centuries, of progress for all Americans? My opinion is simple. It's profiteering and white supremacy aggression. That's it. Many of these cases remain in the hands of the courts in a never-ending appeals process. But this group of like-minded attorneys general has made progress, has won court-supported stays and injunctions. Many have been resolved with the maggot agenda being forced to release funds illegally withheld and prevented the release of Americans' personal information to unelected, unconfirmed, unqualified persons. Democracy and rule of law are at stake. Attorney General Kris Mayes calls Trump's actions authoritarian and warns of threats to our democratic foundations. The everyday impact is massive. These legal challenges have already restored funding that directly supports education, public health, infrastructure, pro-climate protections, and American volunteers. Federal agencies have been forced to rehire federal employees who were illegally fired. Americans' personal information has been protected from unauthorized release. Each of these legal wins continues to build the bulwark against MAGA's illegal actions. Have there been losses? Yes. Setbacks? Yes. Because the MAGA king has a lifetime of experience as a legal bully, and the current Supreme Court has his back as they continue to hand the keys of the kingdom over to the executive branch as they work to destroy the checks and balances built into our Constitution and judicial system. But the appeals process continues. As a resident of Arizona, I am proud of Arizona's Attorney General Kris Mayes. She is doing more than suing. She's defending Arizona, the Constitution, and citizens across the country. So, how are your individual state AGs doing so far? Are they defending your rights as they are required? Are they challenging the unlawful actions of the maggot king? If you agree with this content, please subscribe, share, and in the comments let me know which legal battle you think matters most. My name is Ken. Welcome to Common Sense 2.0 in defense of our democracy. When injustice becomes law, resistance becomes duty.